What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the review scores for Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Firstly, I just want to call out that I called this. I made a Twitter post yesterday asking people what they think the scores are going to be, and I said my prediction is a 91 to a 92, and right now, it's sitting at 91. Now, I think the odds are probably equal that it could go up to a 92, maybe even a 93, depending on how many more reviews go out over the next couple days, but also could fall back to a 90, 89, 88. The thing is, everybody is positive scores, right? I believe there's 24 or so 10 out of 10s, so that's a lot of perfect scores. But even the lowest scores on the list, the lowest score period, is an 8. At least on Metacritic, by the way. I mean, that's the one we look at. Obviously, there's YouTubers that have talked about it as well, and many of them get shunned from Metacritic, right? They don't appear. Some YouTubers don't do scores. I mean, I don't do scores myself. There's a couple sites that haven't given a score, kind of like the usual suspects. Kotaku actually hasn't done it. They don't sound like they're going to be that high when they do give a score. Polygon, kind of same thing. Just in their little blurb, they were kind of talking about the themes of the game, including mass incarceration and surveillance state. So it seems like they're taking a very political approach to the game, if you can believe Polygon would do such a thing. So those scores are probably not going to be the highest in the world, but even if they're an 8, 8.5. Again, I think overall it's going to settle around a 90 or so on Metacritic, which is very, very good. Now, as I always say, make the decisions on your own. Certainly do not go based off of the Kotakus and Polygons of the world. You got some other usual suspects, the IGNs of the world. They gave it an 8. GameSpot gave it an 8. Video Games Chronicle gave it a 10. A couple PlayStation-specific sites, I think PlayStation Universe gave it a 10. So they're kind of all over the place, but they're, again, generally very, very high. And, well, what are they saying? Well, there are some themes. I think there's some themes, honestly, in the 8s, and there's some themes in the 10s. But there is one theme I would feel confident in saying across the entire thing, and it's that many, if not almost all of these reviews do think it's better than the first game, even the 8s. So I don't know if there's some like revisionist thing where maybe they gave Spider-Man 1 a higher score and then Spider-Man 2 is a lower score, but yet they think Spider-Man 2 is a better game. But across so many of these reviews, the general theme is bigger and better sequel. The thing is, the debate is, I guess, between the 8s, the 8.8s, the 9.2s, is how much of a better sequel, right? There is a lot of talk about the, not repetitiveness. I did see some people talk about like combat gets repetitive after a while, but the idea that you have seen this before. I think there was a Washington Post review. They gave it an 8.8 or an 88, and they said the biggest negative is you've seen all of this before. But again, I feel like it very much depends on the person, because the 25 10s are saying, well, the story is incredible. This is, again, bigger and better, and it doesn't really seem like the repetitiveness of maybe you have seen some of this before, maybe you haven't. It doesn't seem like that really affected it. But traversal is one thing that I think has been universally loved, how fun it is, the web wings, swinging in general, fast travel. I've already seen some clips of how quickly it is true that you can fast travel to any point in the entire map, and it's literally seamless. I think that's absolutely, now does that give them like a bonus point? Maybe, maybe not, but it is absolutely insane what they're able to do there. So that's one thing, but I mean, it's not really even a small thing. The movement, traversal in this game seems to be a pretty big kind of point in the 10 scores, in the 9 scores, in the 8 scores. The story is very difficult, to judge based off the scores. It's why I have fun making these videos, but we got to play the game. We got to decide for ourselves, because it is subjective. It's very much subjective. I would say it just gets better as the scores go up, right? So the 8s, I think, had more problems with the story, and you can see, like, if you just do a quick little read of several of these reviews, the story is more of like the hang-up point on the lower ones than is on the higher ones. I think overall, people do enjoy the story. I saw a lot of praise for Kraven and Venom, a lot of stuff on Easter eggs or, things like that, kind of things that set up future games, whether it's Spider-Man or it's something else. I saw that throughout all the scores. It didn't really matter if it was, a perfect score or like an 8 out of 10. I will say this, and I want to say like a spoiler warning, because there were a couple things that people brought up that like weren't known, at least to me, yet. So I do want to throw it out. If you want to know nothing more about this game, not major spoilers, but just things that they threw into the review, they felt comfortable, turn away now. The MJ stuff is confirmed, okay? MJ missions, stealth missions, and I don't know if it's just MJ that gets those stealth missions, but that's another thing that you kind of see some positives and negatives. Positives, I saw some people just flat out saying stealth missions are awesome. The diversity of missions are awesome. A lot of things about cinematicness, if that's even a word, right? Like kind of quick time events in cinematics being excellent. Some of them saying it was used a bit too much. I love them in the first game. So if we get that times like 10, I guess in terms of like it being good, and then even if we get like 10 times more of them, I'm actually kind of okay with that. But yeah, there was a difference between the high and lows, and one of the lows was actually by lows, again, I mean like 8. 8 is not even really all that low, but the low score, the 8 scores, I think one of them is actually the one that spoiled, the MJ thing. So a bunch of them mentioned stealth missions, some of them mentioned like good design choices with those stealth missions, and then one of them just kind of gave away that MJ, is one, which is not shocking. We kind of predicted. I think did I label that? I made an MJ video, and I think I said that I think her missions are going to be in the game. So maybe I was right on that one. Not a lot of talk about like Harry or Ven. I think there's clearly things that they're staying away from. I did see people say that Kraven was kind of a surprise hit, that he was more important / better than you might think he is. I think Venom was just kind of getting, kind of universal praise there. There was one review, I forget which one it was because I tried to read a lot of these, and I'm not going to say what it was, but I feel like they almost low-key, spoiled the ending without actually doing it. Like, just the way the review was and the hints that they gave about the ending. I wish I didn't read that part of it, but, it is what it is. I don't think it's going to massively change anything, but be careful. If you're still, like, not looking for major spoilers, well, things are out there. And, the MJ thing is a spoiler, but I would say it's probably a smaller thing because you're probably going to see it. But, I haven't seen anything about, like, the ending or end bosses. I did see, like, boss fights and bosses that there's more villains in general, and that's a good thing. People like that about the game. So I've seen, like, non-spoiler kind of, general things or general thoughts about it, but nothing too specific. But just be careful because the next few days, obviously, it's about to get pretty darn real. So I think that's kind of all I wanted to cover. I mean, again, it very much depends on the score, and that's why I like making these videos, because we kind of discuss the good that people are saying and the bad. Make your own decision. A 91 for them might not be a 91 for you, and all these scores are, somewhat different at least, and some of their thoughts are pretty different. And again, like, some don't seem to care as much, or obviously the story is subjective, but I'll give you one example of the other way. I saw a score that gave it an 8 that talked about the side missions just not being improved. Specifically, they talked about, some things were improved, but a lot of things were not improved from Spider-Man 1, which, again, maybe that's debatable, maybe it's not. And they specifically said side missions. Side missions have not been improved. I saw a 10 out of 10 saying that they have the best side missions in almost all of gaming. Now, it's a very high bar, right? It's almost two completely opposite ends. So is it somewhere in between? Are the side missions the best that gaming has ever? I highly doubt that. To be honest with you, I doubt that. But where does that lie? That lies to us when we play the game. So just be careful about that stuff. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Bell icons are on. And I hope to see you all on the next one.